the other lecturers have to be complete with their marks, then it has to go in for moderation. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, so then so once I'm back from moderation, and again with this whole new like I say, this little bit of AI system, which always is flawed. AI system's always flawed, especially in this context, because what it's doing is it's reading, for example, it reads your cover page, and because it sees that
Mm,
as duplicated in other assignments, it starts to mark you up. I'm saying to your into in terms of your plagiarism percentage, which is not accurate, So
mm,
for me, everyone was marked, and then, like I said, I just like I have to obviously. What I do is then I red light, I'm saying certain ones that did go over, and then it's up to Grant to decide whether or not like there's a mark that's deducted or not. But yeah. Okay, so let's if we're ready, let us go through the S1. Okay. And here we go. Uh, H radio S1. You can see that. No, thanks. Okay. So we're going to go, like I say, in detail through this, a lot of discussion around that, because it is like this is the part that obviously like you guys have been struggling in the sense that it's brand new. That's the only reason. It's got a lot to do with the creation of content and call outs and stuff like that, right? So we're going to heavily focus on that. The due date is basically the second week of June, so the 5th to the 9th of June. Please note that that's a very short time as well. It's not like this one, which was thinking was like 8 days of submission, or seven, just over, yeah, just 7 days, because they extended to Sunday. But this is actually just the 5 days that are sitting there. So from 5th to 9th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, yeah, 5 days. Okay. These are obviously individual. It's still individual assignment. Let's go through question one. And you have to listen to an hour of a commercial music station's afternoon drive show. So you can choose from any one of, obviously. I mean, now that you know what like the commercial stations are, you can listen to anyone in the country. It doesn't really matter. You do have to date it. You have to say which station it is. You have to date, time, and show. Obviously, the show that you listen to for a mark. Give the start and end times of each of these elements. So, what you can do. Is that what I would do is I would take that hour, and I would for every time something happens, do you understand? So for example, let's say it's 7 o'clock in the morning, so you go 7 0 obviously colon 00, and or if it's just like 7 o'clock 32 seconds or whatever it is, then you must say like the seconds, right? And you say, like, let's say news started, then you must mark down when news ended, so then you'll say, like, let's say it's 7.04 30 seconds, or 0.5 seconds, and then it'll be like you must say that if there's imaging, so imaging is like an ID, so if they played like a station ID and lasted 10 seconds, and you'll do 10 seconds for it. This is why, if it's possible, if in any way you can record the hour, that would be better for you, because obviously, like, it's easier for you to then go back and then obviously get it in its detailed and obviously accuracy. But I really want the seconds. I want the seconds in there as well, so that you can start understanding, like, obviously the detail of an entire clock. So these elements could happen multiple times throughout the hour. Make note of each time: news, sports, traffic bulletins, spots, or advertising brackets. That's what I'm saying. So as opposed to you listening to the show and then trying to kind of decipher the answers to these questions, like, for example, how many songs did the show play? Like, you'd have a good report on that if you do it, like I say, like per the second and the minute that it actually happens. So you can go look back, obviously the news is covered, then the sport will be covered, the traffic bulletins will be covered, like any spots that have played out. So again, the spots are again the advertising brackets, which means like where we play adverts, like in like for 2 minutes or 2.5 minutes or 2 minutes 45 seconds, depending on obviously the length of the spot itself, the spot bracket. But you have to listen to a drive show because all the elements are there. That's the thing, and it's busy. So you want to be able to pick again from again the commercial stations being our Gagasi FM, our East Coast Radio, our 947s, Jacaranda, 5FM, Metro. Like you can't go PBS here. Like it's you're going to lose all the marks, right? So commercial music station afternoon drive. Then you'll also be able to tell how many songs, and like I say, you'll be able to answer the subsidiary questions that follow. So how many songs did the show play in the hour that you listen to? So let's say it comes to about, let's say 8 songs. Do you believe or do you think that they played too little, too many songs? And explain why you believe this. So the thing is, again, as we've covered, because we kind of spoke about the clock and we kind of spoke about I'm sure we've covered it in one of the lessons, um, and if not, it's coming up in the lessons. Obviously, as you know, I cover them before you obviously do your summative, formative, right? But the thing is that, like on average, like for a breakfast or a drive show, you're looking at about 6 to 8 songs. If they're playing less than, let's say, about 8 songs, it has to be highly debatable, because the thing is that either the spot bracket is the spot brackets are there's too many ad breaks, right, that are going on, or there's just like there's too much talking and unnecessary talking. They didn't balance their links out well enough. There's not enough admin in there, um and so on and so forth. I just want to double check that yeah, you're in. Okay, yeah, Patricia's in. Cool. Okay. So that is really the reason why, and it has to be justified. So again, that's what where you're believing in whether it's too little or too many. So if they play over 8 songs, like because a normal hour should have about um on average about 10 to 12 songs easily, because if you averaging on 3.5 minutes and you times that by, let's say, 10, you got, let's say, obviously your 35 minutes. You add another 2 songs to that, you get about 40 minutes, and that's a good 12 songs. So you'll find that normally in your lunch and your brunch hours, and maybe even in your nighttime shows and stuff, definitely in the weekends, you're going to be hearing about 12 songs an hour. So if the breakfast is now playing up at that kind of magnitude or that capacity, they're not doing their job, because the thing is that then they're not talking at all. They're literally playing adverts, they're playing music, they're doing the news, they're doing the traffic, the sports. You know what I'm saying to you, but they're doing nothing else. Okay. How many voice links do you hear? So log each voice link by giving the length of each. Do you see? So I will give you all the marks. Again, all these marks that follow, should your initial report be accurate, right? So you won't even I mean, you'll state that. Let's say you heard 5 voice links, 10 to 1, you'll probably hear about 5 to 4 in a drive time show quite easily. Nothing more than that. If it is, it's going to be on one of the SABC stations that are unformatted radio, where they will squeeze in a 6th link only just to kill time. Uh, Sorry, let me just see what's going on here. Okay. Okay. Right. So, okay, let's go back here. Okay, then recreate the show clock of the hour. So once again, okay, so it says, okay, so you listen to using obviously the log. An example of a show clock can be seen on page 115 of the next level radio. Your clock must be accurately depicted in terms of the information that you captured in the log. So once again, that initial detailed log will be super easy then to create the clock, and the clock is obviously a diagram that will then, go, obviously a circular diagram indicating a clock, and then obviously the adequate timing and the different segments that are included in there. Okay. It's very important that you keep it to its timing. In other words, like let's say it's 1/2 past, like it must be at the bottom, like the bottom of the hour. So a half of the clock must have passed. So you can't put, let's say, a 30-minute, even if your clock is, let's say, theoretically correct, like the way that it graphically looks needs to also represent the manner of a clock. Do you understand? So you can't put, let's say, something that happens at 30 past, where, and if you look at a clock, it's actually 25 past or 26 past or 17 past or whatever it is, which a lot of students seem to do. And it's a big total mess, and it makes no sense. And I'm guessing as a reaction of trying to fill things in, but you don't have to, when you are drawing up the clock, you don't have to be accurate in terms of like the graphical depiction. So in other words, you don't have to necessarily like measure out 2.5 minutes to make it a two and a half minute proportion to that 30 minutes or that 1 hour. It just has to fit. As I said, I think so let me just quickly have a look on the if just on look on your WhatsApp, on the WhatsApp group. I just want to see what I shared with you. Okay, so I'm gonna share. Give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna share. This is the third year clock. Okay, just give me a second. I just wanna share the two pictures of the clock. Okay. All right. So if you can read my writing, that's cool. That's good. Also, we'll go through it. I will use this example also because again, I don't believe in watering down information just because like it's a first or a third year thing. Rather do it correctly. So you'll see now in the group, um, I've sent the first quarter, which is the last picture, and then the second quarter, and you'll see how um, if you look closely, obviously my handwriting is that's kind of neat. It's definitely you can see what's going on, but you'll see that I do it according to the minutes and seconds of an hour. Do you understand? So it's not of a show specific. It's definitely of a drive time or a breakfast show because all the elements are there in terms of again traffic, sports headlines, sports itself, financial indicators, the bulletins, and then we have the different categories of music that's happening in there. There's a link, there's links, there's imaging that goes in and out there. So if you look at that, that is I'm going to explain that in detail in definitely one of the classes that's coming up 10 to 1 next week would make more sense because today we're doing a bit of branding, we're doing a bit of advertising, and then we're going to move on from there and not focus too much more on that. Okay, so 6 was analyzing the show content. Which phase of the product life cycle does the show to appear to be in? So explain your answer, and that is obviously dependent on what you have learned already in terms of like obviously the metamorphosis of whether the climax has come and whether it's in its kind of last peripheral phase. So you'll note, but 10 to 1, what's happening here is if you are listening to a drive time that is new, like I'm saying, it's new hosts. It doesn't matter it doesn't matter the experience or whatever it is, like it's definitely going to be in the introductory. And I think the other one, what is the other phase? I can just remember now. Anyway, it's either the first or second one, right? But if it's something that's been there for quite some time, so for example, like let's say Tando show, who uh, uh, has been there for quite a while. It's a couple of years, good couple of years. Like it's definitely in a later stage, and if you listen to it, even she might be struggling to make it sound fresh, which is probably a lot of the complaints. I haven't really listened to the show of late. But the thing is that I'm guessing a lot of the complaints, if they do come, is that it's kind of maybe a little bit stagnant, a little bit boring, and so needs a little bit of revitalization, right? So you're going to find that that just because just don't make the mistake that just because the presenter might be like very like a veteran or whatever it is, or very skilled or very experienced, that the show now is in a late stage of growth, and that's very important. Please, again, I've said this before, a lot of you did it, maybe two people out of the nine that I marked didn't do it, which was, it's a bit frustrating to actually to mark, is put your stuff in point form, because the thing is that this is exactly what I said when I disclaimed this in the beginning, when we did the F1, like, is what happened, which is repetition. So what happens is, when you are not, when you're describing things in a paragraph and you're answering these things in a paragraph manner, you will tend to repeat yourself, like once or twice or three times, even depending on the length of the answer that's required of you. So you'll get 1 mark for stating what you thought was maybe 3 marks worth already within that 10 mark bracket or whatever it may have been, right? So I really like I still continue to use the bullet points to make sure that each bullet point, also what I found with some of the answers was like kind of like a desperate attempt at filling the answers up. So in other words, you would start with a certain point. It would make sense. It's perfect. It's factual. But then towards the end of your list, you would then try and kind of like recap, which made no sense to me. You kind of would go roundabout and try and tie it into the beginning of what you had said, which it also is just repetition. So really just avoid that type of thing. Considering the show's position is the life cycle name, and then create 3 different content pieces, either in 3 different categories or the same categories that the show could have used to help grow its audience in that phase. Use the table below. So the content type, again, now, I mean, you've got to state whether it's going to be a call out, whether it's going to be, sorry, I just want to make sure, is everyone in? Okay, yeah. I see Patricia is struggling. All right. Okay, so okay, 1 second. All right, so I'm right there. Okay, so like, whether it is a call out, whether it is an interview, whether it is a feature, so it's a game, whether it's a competition, like, which is again obviously like that sponsored features, which is I wouldn't really go on that, because that is not orchestrated by the presenter themselves. They have nothing to do with, like I say, the construction and the concept of obviously the competition structure and the idea, whatever it is. So I wouldn't put that in. You understand? There it says, then now choose one feature, benchmark, or standalone content piece that you heard in that hour and reflect on it by. Before I get there, let me just continue with this, right? I just want to, so let's say you will list now, and let's say, again, let's just stick to the 947 one for the moment. Let's say she did an interview, write out the content piece as it would, what am I saying? Yeah, you're supposed to suggest like 3 content pieces. So you would look at, let's say, so how I'm going to mark this is, I'm going to say, did you consider the format and the audience and the station itself? And when you do create, let's say, this now interview that you now put up as a content piece, and you obviously explain like what it's about, and why it's like relevant, or you do a call out and you explain why that is relevant and the kind of the context that that fits in, um, or you do a little bit of a game or a feature and you explain that relevance. Like, that's how you'll be marked, according to, again, the kind of the precursor, that you understand the station itself, right? So if you do something that's kind of like out of the boxy, kind of like a bit grittier, and you choose Jacaranda, like, you're not going to get the marks. It's not going to work. It's not going to work for you, right? So it's not about you trying to be innovative for a station, but rather understanding how to be a chameleon for like what you can read and understand. I'm saying as a station structure and its ethos, its a culture, etc. Right. Okay. Describe, so within that again, so let's go to 1.8, describing the promise for that content piece. Do you think the promise was effective? Explain why or why not. If that is foreign to you, that is obviously coming up in a lecture that obviously will be covered in the next couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks. Um, Again, the promise is just in generally what we say to you is going to happen in this link. Do you understand? So when you hear someone start a link and you kind of know already what they're doing. When I was studying, I studied film as well. When I was studying film and screenwriting and stuff, they like the first thing they said to us was they said that a good movie will always, within the first 5 to 10 minutes, you will know automatically how this movie actually ends without knowing how it ends. I'm saying to you. And if so, so in that, the director actually makes a deal with you. If you reach the end of the movie and you're lost you haven't been fulfilled, you understand? Like that's the definition of a bad movie. And if you think of all the bad movies that you've watched, 10 to 1, you can say, okay, there's bad acting or there's a bad storyline or a bad script or whatever it is. But the truth of the matter is the biggest downfall for any story at the end of the day is when you introduce something, whether it be cryptic or mysterious or captivating or whatever it is, fantastical, it still implies something is going to happen towards the end or at the end. So, for example, you're introduced to a hero, and a hero is in a certain scenario that's a bit difficult or whatever it is. Like you know that this hero is going to like beat or like against all odds at the end and not lose, for example. That's about the easiest example I can think of. But even if you think of really complicated dramas, which are super, I mean, they're super, they're very convoluted in the way like let's say Oscar nominated pictures are very complex. They're very dramatical, and there's a lot of moving parts in that. The ones that are great, I'm saying stories, even as traumatic slash dramatically kind of raw and written, still at the end will have some kind of conclusion that you will say, okay, I'm good with this. I can leave and feel as though I got my quote unquote happily never or ever after. Okay, anyway, so that's the same concept here. Describing the performance of that content piece. So do you think the promise was effective? Explain, or explain why not. That not the promise. The promise and the performance is going to say, is that the exact same question? Okay, cool. Are there any questions right now at the moment for anything that I've covered? Any questions at all? Pretty easy. Yeah, looks like you'll ace it. All right, let me move on. Okay, so using the Mexico on the bicycle as a guide, write a 2-minute link for a hot AC breakfast show discussing the 1 Rand 37 increase in petrol. The link must include a hook, crumbs, payoff, and blackout. So these are things that you're wondering what are they? I will
Yes, I was
obviously,
about to ask.
yeah, I mean, well, come on. I mean, I
What
just
is
I
the
just
Mexican on the bicycle? Was it like
I mean, it's a methodology
oh,
or like a thing in your textbook you'll see. Um
what
but
page is
we'll
it on?
yo guys, just my book's in the car. Like we'll get to it, you understand? The thing is, I don't want you like I don't want you to get fixated on too many, because the book includes like a ton load of methodologies, a ton load of, like, I'm saying to you, little structures and little kind of like magic spices, and this is it kind it really it's basically making a lot of clutter out of something that shouldn't be like confusing at all. Do you understand? So you'll see when we go through obviously this now approach. um you must now obviously you'll be measured. I mean, obviously I'll be looking at the duration of it. So 2 minutes. You've got to go and sit and also like you got to perform it out for yourself to make sure that you are on time with 2 minutes. You can't be any less and you can't be any more. You may be 10 seconds less and you can be 10 seconds more, nothing more than that. And it's really super important that you get it to that point. So what I'll do is when I do look at the link, I know the average of what a 2 minute link looks like. And when you become too, let's say again, too detailed, or there isn't structure in terms of like a beginning, middle, and end in a way, which is what the hook, crumbs, payoff, and blackout are about. Um, then I can see that you're going to waffle. I can see that obviously this is going to carry on for a lot longer than what you thought was 2 minutes. And making sure that you're not reading out, because reading stuff of a page is easy to obviously work in duration and in duration, right? But the thing is to be able to convey a message about something. Do you understand? Is where you will obviously you will find the balance to get that 2 minute link out good enough. Okay. All right. So write a compelling hook for the following content pieces. Again, just to not have you in anxiety. Like a hook is just a way that we originally, in our own way, will introduce a segment piece, for example, whatever it may be. And again, an interview, a call out, a standalone, or a feature, whatever it is, right? But we don't just say, okay, let's start with, because nobody ever in this lifetime, never ever hashtag forever, goes to, let's say, a table with their friends and starts a conversation by saying, okay, so I want to start by talking about. No one does that. And so the thing is that when we hear students attempt their beginnings by saying, "I would love to start with a topic around," and then we just fail them, because no one does that in real life. That should be your first point of reference. But the second part to this, the hook has to be captivating. So, for example, a call out for listeners to tell them about your habits, and so tell you about habits that they have picked up from their romantic partners. Um, and like starting it off by saying, you know what, I have found myself kind of like hate loving, the mirror every morning, and like that's kind of a hook to say like, what is this guy talking about? And then I can continue by saying, like, I'm someone that picks up mannerisms really quickly. Like, for example, when I do watch a series, I literally have the mannerisms of characters if I watch it like in a binge, and at the end I'm kind of
Great.
talking like those characters. So then that's a good hook. It's 7 to 32 seconds, right? And it's original to start the conversation of picking up habits around. Does that Sorry, I heard someone. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. I just have a question. Like in the context of creating hooks,
Yeah.
like are people speak in different ways, and obviously would want to make your hook interesting
Yes.
and maybe even humorous. Should we pay too much attention in using the appropriate language, or we
So
can play around?
So no, no. So ideally, this is now where you start to. This whole assignment is really about you obviously now trying to break away completely from theoretics and then applying yourself. So this is where you like, how would you do this? How would you use like that 7 to 32 seconds to introduce like a talk piece, right? Okay, but by grabbing someone's attention. So again, a competition moment would see you winning tickets to Dubai. the Dubai leg of the Renaissance World Tour by Beyonce. Like that, there's many ways you can do that, but don't think of corny things. Like, don't start singing like "Get Me Bodied." It's, because it irritates people to hear anyone sing besides an artist, and that's true. That's research, right? But you can, I mean, you can start by saying, like, I miss the days of Sasha Fierce. Like, we don't have an alter ego anymore, but we are bringing you the real deal. You understand? Like that type of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
Is that okay? Okay. Cool. A breaking news story has seen a lion escape an enclosure and has since been spotted on the N3 highway. So it's obviously from obviously True News. An interview with Grammy winner Zakes Bantwini, and then a personal anecdote. Remember, that's a story of your own, an experience of your own. That's all you're experiencing. The most embarrassing moment. Please, this is these are tricks. Like, you understand, these are built as ways to trick you, because there there's this is such a vanilla topic, the most embarrassing moment, right? That you have to find such an original way to bring up this conversation yet again, over the millions of times it's been brought up. You understand? This without introducing him like it was like a little bit of an autobiography, like a quick, like a three sentence summation autobiography. Like, you got to think of something better. Like, for example, like maybe he had such a moving speech at the Grammys, but you want to point out this one sentence and start with that. You understand? Like, this one statement. Like that's a cool hook. Here you see a trap for corniness about lions escaping. You can't also be on this red alert of like, oh my God, like something massive is happening. Either or like, don't please. I don't know. Maybe it's cool. I don't know if it's cool or not to like say, well, something interesting has happened on the N3, which at least will break, the boredom of traffic. Close your windows though, because a lion is currently, it's in your midst. Say something better than that. Like, I don't know, today is a lucky day. Just obviously close your windows wherever you are in Joburg right now, specifically on the N3. And you don't have to make your way all the way to the Kruger Park this year. You can get what you need to just by staring out your window. You understand? So something more like that. Uh, just again, think of ways to just give it a little bit more spice, a little bit more fun, and obviously where you will shine a little bit more, right? Okay, so take the following talk topic and turn it into a personal, funny, and engaging story that you will tell on air to an urban CHR listener. So, contemporary hit radio, urban is 947 in a way, depending on, sorry, I just want to accept these people. So, depending on, like, your textbook's not, uh, they named they named five, I think, the CHR station. I think that's what they did, and that's not true. It's not a CHR station. I mean, right now it's sitting at an alternative. Well, it's an urban youth, predominantly urban. Um, more than CHR contemporary hit radio. 947 is the contemporary hit radio that remains. I'm saying in terms of a license. So you're looking at that 947 kind of even to a point, Kakasi FM, because it is so commercial at the end of the day. I wouldn't go as far as East Coast. It's a little bit, a tiny bit old school-ish. It still has to go to AC, um, and maybe even Good Hope. Like, Good Hope's a nice example. I would have to check, but I think that's CHR, and they're definitely urban. Okay, so okay, use the link planning sheet on page 130. What is the biggest age gap between you and someone you've dated? there's a mathematical equation that governs the law boundary for the socially acceptable age of a potential dating partner. Half your age plus 7. So if you're 28, you can only date someone that is at least 28 divided by 2 plus 7, which is 21. Okay, here's the thing now. Like, you cannot, okay, you cannot take this here and then do a call out. Like, in other words, take the direct information that is given to you here and then give me an exact similar like call out. So like an aggregated call out. You have to think of this. You must look at this and then do like a springboard. Sorry, let me just accept. Okay, you must springboard a different, fresh idea. Like, for example, let's say, like how MILFs are no longer taboo, you know? So in other words, a lot of men are dating, married, whatever it is, to women that are much older than them or older than them, where the traditional, obviously, very old kind of archaic view is that a male it must be essentially a little bit older than the female counterpart. But because we also live in a world that's extremely fluid right now, where you don't only have a straight couple, and you see, like, this opens up a bigger conversation about like uh like the prerequisites of how you speed date, you understand? And why speed dating is maybe an abomination of human respect. If it is, I don't know. I find it very effective, you understand? Or whether people have changed or have become more I don't know, like very shallow in how they find a mate these days. You can talk about, is the concept of a soulmate even real anymore, or is it something that was left in a happily ever after with Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs? You understand? So you need to springboard something cool and original from something that is sparked here about the age gap, right? And then you've got your marks. Okay. So that is the obviously that's the S1. Please, again, I know I'm saying you're diligent in knowing that you have to obviously submit between, again, the 5th and the 9th of June on Cole campus, and I shall be marking your scripts from Australia. So I shall I shall give you like a high five from down under. All right. Any questions on the assignment itself? Anything at all that's come up? Anything about the current
Hi,
assignment in terms of? Yep. Yep.
hi, Chris.
How's it going?
I'm good, man. Thanks, Jenny.
Good.
All right, man. Chris, I just wanna ask you on especially on question one.
Hmm.
So basically, you have to choose your own station that you normally listen to, right?
You can choose whatever station you want, Joe, but it must be
Okay,
commercial. It
it
must
must
be
be
a commercial
commercial.
station. Yeah, it must be here as well. It must be here. Like,
Yeah.
so, yeah, it must be South African, must be commercial. Yeah. Tell me.
Okay. And then I think it's question. I think it's question 1.3, right? So basically, let's say I'm listening to 702. That's
Yeah,
my type of, like, you know what I mean?
sure.
So, and then when it comes to like how many songs do they,
No, no.
do
So
they play?
you
And
have to,
then how,
yeah. I think it specifies up here. I'm just quickly go look. You have to do a commercial music station. It won't
uh,
work. Yeah, just because
mm,
of the fact that the only reason 702 will play songs is either on a specialty show on a weekend, right?
mm,
Or let's say something goes wrong, so they have to fill up time and they're
yeah.
busy with a technical, yeah, problem. So you won't be able to use a talk station. You have to go for one of the music ones.
All
Yeah.
right, cool, no problem. All right,
Yeah.
cool. All right.
Anything else? Anyone
No,
else?
that's it from us.
Sure. Okay. Okay. All right. I wanna do the first lesson. where let me just quickly see. Why can I not see this? Just give me a second. Oh, there. That's why. Uh, okay. Let me go to. I think I did. Did I do listen? Oh, I did. I did 13. Just give me a second. Yeah. It's gonna 14. Yeah. And then I'm just gonna switch it over in a second. Just give me a second now. Uh, all right. Okay. All right. And then I'm just going to. I'm just gonna. Okay. I'm gonna leave that there just in case someone does start to knock at the door. Okay. So let's talk about promotions and competitions. This is a okay, I'm actually just gonna minimize this. Please just let me know if someone is knocking at the door. Okay, like now. Okay, just give me a second. Yeah. All right. Okay. Let's talk about promotions, competitions. The thing is that okay, so this is lesson 14. I decided to not skip because I like last time we were here, everyone just like completely bailed on me. And I think I was talking to Patricia just like intimately like after the first lesson. But the 13th lesson, so we're going to start at 14. I'm not going to give it a skip. I'm just going to carry on with it. Okay, let's go. Let's start with the concept of promotions and competitions. And again, why is it important? Again, I'm going to start the big question, which is do you think it increases listenership? So let me just quickly make this a bit tiny bit smaller so you can actually see what's going on. Uh, it doesn't. The answer is no. Like no matter how great the promotion is, no matter how much like they're giving away, no matter how big the prizes are, no matter how fantastic like the experience is. So you could be meeting like your biggest, most favorite star. It doesn't matter. Like nobody has ever increased their listenership on a permanent scale because of a promotion or competition. Like we do this literally to reward the listener for being loyal to us, but it doesn't stop there. Obviously, I mean, we are selfish at heart, and it must feed service us as well. So what obviously we do is that we grow an attachment to between obviously the listeners and us, but then with our clients most importantly. So it's a chance for us to really build like something that is a little bit more effective than a 30-second spot, right? Something that obviously has them well obviously propagated between obviously like the themselves and the listeners in a clever, creative, and also very simple way. Because we don't want to, with competitions, we don't want to make them difficult. We don't want to have losers. We want to have winners. That's why you're obviously sponsored by obviously a certain product, service, client, whatever it may be, right? And ideally, the thing is when in commercial, like you will see that competitions are again long running. They always slash almost always last for either a week long or they last about 3 weeks long because the promotions are really big, the prizes are really big, and again, obviously, the sales team has negotiated a really massive deal to bring in that type of capacity in terms of the airtime that is being shared. So, if you look at rate cards, that they fluctuate in prices. You can go find them anywhere. I can bring that up also just to show at the beginning of next week, just as a reference, right? The rate cards are also just kind of again, as I think I've mentioned before, they're a bit of a guideline, so that like for example, if someone does like inquire and say, I would like to advertise on whatever FM. How much is it? Can you just send me like a price list, basically? So they come to you, they say, it's a very kind of like basic inquiry, so nothing that you quite can yet kind of like customize and build something rich and very obviously lucrative for you. Then you'll send out the rate card. Very, very bad sales team members are people that go and create like a template like a template email, where it's got obviously its little fields there that you use like a database, and you just kind of like fill in and then just send out as kind of like a obviously like a mass scale email, whatever it is, I don't know, right? Like that someone can smell immediately is just like, it's not even a sales ploy, it's lazy sales, and it's super insulting. Like, if you want money from me, even if it's a little money or it's a lot of money, which it normally is, like, you can't be sending me like just like this generic email that comes out every 3 months or every 3 weeks, and obviously the more like the more you repeat that, the more irritating it is, slash obviously the more likely you'll be blocked. And even if you do approach them as you should, in terms of like it being a cold sorry like a hot lead that you've actually built up and you've built a proposal for, like, they will tend to say no thanks, it's okay, because you've treated me kind of like a number and nothing else up to this point, and yeah, it can be interpreted in any kind of way, but it won't be the correct way, right? All right. So remember to use Bubby, right, when developing content-based promotions. But before we develop any concepts, let's please just understand why it is that we are doing it, and so on and so forth. Right. Okay. For smaller promotions, prize giveaways, or talent appearances, you can build 2 to 3 weeks into your plan. So as I said to you, that's kind of like the benchmark is, again, a 1 week, because we normally have, like, you'll hear on a lot of stations. So Five and Metro are very popular with this, where you'll hear and they'll say like all next week on the drive, $5,000 up for grabs every day, courtesy of Standard Bank. Like, and it'll be a Monday to a Friday thing, and it'll end there. There won't be any build up to it. It'll be a generic slash like straight up cash giveaway, and there won't be a lot of complexity to it, but it also won't take up a lot of space. So in other words, like, we have the mass promotions, the big promotions that run throughout the day. So they'll have a spot on the breakfast, they'll have a spot on lunch and brunch and the drive, and it'll stop there. But it'll be for 3 weeks, and that is very costly. Again, very lucrative for the station. 73% of all revenue for a station comes from advertising, and this is how it comes in. Do you understand? So, for me, it's very important for you to understand that, like, the human nature of a sales rep. Do you understand? When I say a sales rep, within obviously a radio department, like, you have to preempt a lot of what someone already doesn't know that they need, but you're going to make them want. Okay, then there's hardly ever a situation where like a person doesn't need the thing at all. I'm saying to you, like, any promotion, and then we'll go for it just blindly. Like, we go and we target specifically big brands and notable brands that are going to do something new. So, for example, a new product has come out, a new service, a new store, like a new rebranding, whatever it may be, or they want to do some kind of like charity work, whatever it is, as part of their promotions. I don't know. Like, but it is always something that they are launching and need, obviously, like, the backing of what is very effective radio, right? Because, again, if you try and do that with print, it is very slow. Like, the response, I'm saying to you, like, the entrants are much lower than you would find, like, in terms of like an SMS line or a WhatsApp line or whatever it is. It's normally through an SMS line that you enter, because that also costs money, and then that money goes and splits towards, obviously, the service provider and the radio station and all. But let me not go off track. And then again, like, it's got to have immediate reach. Like, television is not something that people like. If you thought that you don't stick around for ads and radio. You don't stick around for television ads at all, like at all. Hence why you've got like your obviously like your service providers now. I'm not too sure. I don't have Showmax. I don't watch Netflix. Everything I do is on download and streaming. I'm saying to you, quite illegally, as I have no shame. So I don't really know the amount of advertising that happens in the depth of it, but I do know DSTV very well, and DSTV is like watching an episode of adverts in between episode breaks, you know. And that is really, really exhausting. And the moment, because we've been obviously trained so well with DSTV, you switch over because you know you can watch basically half of another segment of another program on another channel and then still come back and still make it for like the next segment after a commercial break. Anyway, my thing is that you will find a lot more promise in terms of your return on investment, and that's something you have to promise to the obviously the client. But you can't just empty promise. You got to show them how the return on investment is going to be realistically. So you're going to be like, okay, great. So here is your investment, and the return on investment will be a percentage of a very small percentage, which is realistic, and they also know that as well, because then you will obviously redefine. I'm saying to you, like the long term return on investment, which is what they're actually interested in. They want clients to stick with them. I'm saying new customers and new obviously revenue coming in that stick with them, and that's actually why they go for promotions that are quite costly. The other way is like to obviously sponsor. So to sponsor like a top 40 or a top 20, what we do is we normally don't accept anything longer or shorter than 6 months to a year. So that normally equates to like a good million easily in commercial, very easily, above $1 million to sponsor that. And that obviously comes with all the bells and whistles, digital, constant, obviously, like branding everywhere, like everywhere and anywhere. Like it will be ownership as well as complete ownership of not allowing competitors to be advertised during that sponsored segment slash show slash whatever it is. So, for example, if MTN is sponsoring a top 40 or top 20, you will not hear another service provider within those hours, or you shouldn't, because that's just a terrible deal. Okay. All right, promotions, competitions. Okay, when it comes to competition packages, we consider three things: like pre-competition promotion, on a promotion, and then post-competition promotion. So as I was saying, there's that long-term, which I think is really what most clients are most interested about, is like what do I get out of this? Yes, I'm going to get the awareness, and I'm going to obviously get the buzz around this, and then it's fleeting, at the end of the day. But how did the station, in a very, like I say, creative, intriguing, and then captivating way, turn this particular listener into a customer? Okay, and that is really important. So the thing is, when you do listen to a lot of radio stations, they do often cop out as well. So what they're doing it is that salesperson is doing it for the money, and then convinces a product of a really bad, like one really bad, maybe a promotion, that maybe the product is not a good fit for the listener. And so, like I say, return on investment, reality afterwards is incredibly low. The obviously the listener participation is disinterested at best, and that is not you. As a salesperson, you need to have client retention. So in other words, this person wants to come back and back and back again because you did something great for them, and they obviously benefited from it. Let's look at what you do for pre-promotion, pre-competition promotions. So obviously there's the live reads. I'm going to explain the live read once again. It's the cheapest form of advertising. It's when it is scripted directly. I know I had you guys do that earlier, and there was some cool ones. There was two or three of you that sent through some really nice ones. So the concept of the live read, the pre-recorded promotion. So obviously telling us what's going to be happening in the coming weeks. Definitely building a lot of awareness. Definitely on social media. Definitely have to be super original to get someone's attention here in this particular phase here. Because once they are, I mean, so we have a lot of competitions that are trialed and tested, and have been bought by international stations, and I say not international stations, international like concept creators. So it's and there's a top 20 list. I can actually just quickly I'm just gonna quickly actually see if I can just grab it without like hanging this PC. But while that pops up, um yeah, okay. So I can explain some of them to you, which you already know. So the sound of Joburg, for example. So the sound of Joburg is what? Who can tell me what the sound of Joburg is? What is the sound of Joburg? Anybody? Come on. Come on, guys. It's every single station has done the sound of something. Call it the sound of Joburg, the sound of whatever power, the sound of whatever, the sound of talk, the sound of whatever it may be. There's no one,
Is
no
it
one,
is it
yeah.
the 947?
No, everyone has done it. The Sound of Joburg is 947 definitely, because obviously they own they've claimed Joburg. You understand, the Joburg audience, but like you will hear the sound, and they'll call it the sound of something else on another station, right? So what is that? They play you 1 second of a sound, and it's it's so vague. It could be anything, right? Obviously. But what does the sound of Joburg sound slash sound of Pretoria sound of whatever it is do? Every time someone phones in and guesses, right, the presenter is also given, they are given by the sales department, promotions department, they are told, listen, you can give them these clues here, and you can say what it is not. Only these two things or three things here. So what happens is that, just like another very popular one, which is like the 10 seconds, 10 songs one, right? Where obviously let's say if you don't obviously get it right, then the 10,000 goes to 20,000, 20,000 goes to 30,000, and then it builds up and goes to like 120,000, which is a close enough example of where someone will actually get the sound of Joburg or whatever it is right. And then what happens is that depending on when that person got it right, they will start back at 10,000 again and start like I said, like that little cash box again all over again. But it carries on, like I say, throughout the day. Very popular. It's like I say, been tried and tested. We did I want to say Fugitoid, but that is a Ninja Turtle character. No, the Fugitive, right? So we did the Fugitive. The Fugitive, it was sold, and everyone believed that it was a Prime Media concept, but it wasn't. It was this is a purely British concept, and it worked. So it's such an effect. It's so insane to watch people like in the middle of the day, like when they're supposed to be at work, running after this guy, like who is claiming to be at a certain place, certain time. But obviously, you got to catch the fugitive to get like a large amount of money, right? But and throughout obviously the day, this fugitive will now have conversations with the DJ, saying, "Yeah, but like being very kind of like very kind of standoffish and sarcastic, and we have to get someone that's very personality driven to also be the fugitive." And people go insane. Like there was like what we hope for are kind of like those death rallies, where people kind of stamp over one another, but not that they actually do that to kill each other, so that we can make the news, which normally those big kind of promotions do when it is involved. But there's a lot of logistics involved, but there is a big payoff at the end of the day. Anyway, so just to let you know that they are bought, they're trialed and tested, and hardly ever originally created here in South Africa for a commercial station. Always, again, bought from an international company. That there is obviously merit to it because like it won't fail. And obviously they know all the tricks and the trials and tribulations of it and how to obviously make the best of it. They know how to customize it to make it for their own audience. So there's obviously the pros of it. The cons of it is that like it says a very little but a very strong statement about like the confidence in our own industry to be able to create please a competition, man. Like we can come up with concepts very easily. Anyway, okay, so then again, the pre-promotion, very big, like to get there, obviously their attention, and then again, like you'll get a good gauge as to how many people are asking questions, how many people are sharing the stuff, how many people are registering for, like whatever it may be, right? To see whether you are being effective. The only promotion stuff is the actual weeks of the competition, and that has to be perfectly structured. So the DJ must follow to, like I say, the detail and to the letter what is given to them, you know. So again, what they always say is, please, we don't want people to lose. Yes, like I just said now, you might not get all 10 songs, but you might get 7 or 8 of them, which means that this is good news for the next person that's going to enter. We don't want to also exclude people. So we don't want to do a quarterfinal, semi-final, final. You understand? We want people to constantly enter and to constantly be captivated by whatever competition is running. Right. If you do by any means of whatever your competition brief is given to you, go off track, you are liable for cost, and they will hold you liable, and you will pay as the DJ, because in any one way you're affecting what could have been like the actual return on investment for that client themselves. I'm nearly done. Okay, post competition. So we want to be able to make sure that this lives on somewhere. So if a competition has been particularly successful, it's caused a lot of hype. A station will often package highlights to make sure that people know, wow, like we missed this completely. Like we were away on holiday. It doesn't really matter. We weren't in tune or whatever, but this looks really great. And also we like seeing people be happy. Like where if you don't win, you're not upset that someone else wins. If you're a passive listener, which most of us are, we like winning moments. We like it when people scream and shout and their days are made better, or they're, I don't know, like I said, like with the angels of Jacaranda go and save someone's particular situation. People like to hear that. So a competition is never a loss at the end of the day. But once again, for me, it is about how that post competition activity is how you really seal the deal between obviously listener to client, and then client to station client, and then and so on, so that they can get benefits and more benefits and more benefits and be happier than what they actually expected. Also in sales, promise realistically less than more, so that you can surprise and again obviously like make them happier than they were expecting to be. Don't promise like complete trash, but definitely promise the bare minimum that is still considered success at the end of the day. Okay, throughout the 3 phases competition period, so there's a generic 30-second spot. So there'll always be a produced spot, um, exactly 30 seconds. That's what I was saying to you, that the timing is never 28 seconds. It's not 24 seconds. It's either 20, 30, 40, 45, or a minute for public service announcements. And because that's how our rate card works. Yeah, again, the whole point is that we are brainwashing. So again, by further reinforcing consistently throughout the day, people will know, like the MTN with the new Samsung deal and whatever, like bells and whistles on that. All right, so okay. Um, ah, damn it, no, I don't have the book. Can someone uh can someone just bring up page 346 for me? It's in my boot. It's downstairs. It's quite a walk. I'll go get it now while you do this for me. Has someone got the textbook, page 346? Who's got it? Anyone got their hands up? Put a hand up.
I have it open.
I'm in it.
Okay, great stuff. Okay, Bash, just tell me, give us a brief summary of what's on 346.
Wait. There's subheadings on a promotion and post competition promotion.
Okay, is that it? Okay, do you want to give us more? Is there no actual example?
Sorry, I might be lost, Chris.
No, 346, page 346. Let's see what there. Is there a promo example? There should be there must be some kind of like live read or something there, or live read, live promo. Live promos are done. So let me just explain the difference again. So the live promo is when they give you a bunch of details that you can choose from and tell you what you have to say, whereas some other and then obviously selectively choose what you would like to say from other parts of the promo, and they say make it your own. So a live promo will always be something that is associated with the station in like association with another brand. Do you understand? Whereas a live read comes from any client, like I'm saying far and filtered, whatever it is, doesn't really matter. Is there an example there? So let me do, so let me also send you another one. Okay. I think so okay. So look at so I've sent you this PDF file in the group chat, right? It says voices.com, commercial scripts for radio and television, right? It's a really cool document. It's great. It will explain to you, so as a voiceover artist, right? You would this is how you are actually. And if you all want to just quickly open that up for me, so we can just follow. Okay, have you all got it? It's you'll see up when I sent that kind of that brunt list of attachments. There's the voices one, right? So there's different ones. Yeah, there's media and communications, live events, industry and agriculture, home and garden, doesn't really matter, right? As a voiceover artist, right? Like you'll be given like this. They'll say to you, okay, cool, male or female. Let's look at the first one there. The length is 30 seconds exactly. The demographic is families with school-aged children. So the character narrator that you have to be should be in a friendly voice, late 20s, early 30s. Vocal direction should be cheerful, athletic, neighborly, educator, anticipation. Music, if any music will be added in, or sound effects. The sound effects, more importantly, so like a golf ball being tapped and the sound of the ball going in the hole, for example. I'm just going to give this off the cuff, right? And you don't have to perform it. We can do voice coaching a little bit later. But let's quickly read through the first one. You all got the golf one, eh? The Tetherwood Country Golf, eh? Okay. All right. So did you hear? Let me just get this right. Did you hear that? That's the sound of setting a goal and achieving it. Taking it slow, grasping the club gently, and focusing in on the ball. Anticipation builds. Okay. Lining up the stroke, and in it goes. What does it say next? Okay, treat your kids to some family fun and excitement. Well, what does it say? Oh my word. Okay, let me just say that again.
Can't hear Chris.
Can you? Okay, let me go, because that was a bad take. Also, I've not read this before. Okay, so let me try this again. Okay, so you are on the first one, Tetherwood Country Golf, Arts and Entertainment, and then there's the live read there, which is 30 seconds long. Okay, incorporating sound effects should there be. Okay. All right, let's try this again. Okay. Did you hear that? That's the sound of setting a goal. No, that's the sound of setting a goal and achieving it. Taking it slow, grasping the club gently, and focusing it on the ball, lining it up for the stroke, and in it goes. Treat your kids to some family fun and excitement while teaching them the value of setting a goal and achieving it. Tetherwood Country Golf, it's more than just, what is it? Mini putt. Oh my word, my eyesight is terrible. Okay. And so is my delivery on that. I'd have to practice it as a voice artist does. All right. So if you look at the one just below about the Nutcracker ballet, again, also 30-second spot there. And I'm just going to read through this one as opposed to trying to execute it. Are the visions of sugar plums dancing in your head? Then bring your family to the Centennial Hall this Christmas season to experience the splendor of Tchaikovsky's holiday ballet, The Nutcracker, featuring the talents of the Royal Dance Academy and the Symphony Orchestra. Be entertained by the magic and the power of this classic holiday ballet for one night only, but keep the memories for a lifetime. For advance tickets, call 555-5555 to arrange your seating now. Okay, and so that's a cool 30-second spot without any kind of sound effect interruptions and stuff like that as well. Okay, so you're gonna nope, that's not the correct one. What am I saying? Okay, so can you write a promo that excites? You're more than welcome to work on it like online as a group. Do you understand? We can give one. What would you like to write the promo about? Anyone want to give a suggestion? Or can I just give you, can we just, I'm going to say, let's see okay, I'm going to actually use a real example. So let's go to MTN specials. Like I just said, the MTN specials. Okay. Specials. Okay, give me a second here. Okay, what are we on? April, May. Yeah, April deals. Okay. So I'll just send you the link now as well. And then you've got to take some time to actually do this here. So there's a couple of offers here. You can choose any one of them as well. I would go with like the free headset, Nova, whatever. And then write a 30-second hard sell. So the hard sell is don't make it like what I just did there with those two that were written. There was a little bit of kind of like a little bit of theatrics that they wanted in there, especially with the golfing one as well. Especially with the golfing one. Here, just keep it clean. Be like MTN has a range of winter promotions on for you this May. Then mention like 2 or 3 of the big deals, and then close it up with MTN's tagline. All right, and tell us where you can like maybe say like get your, I don't know, like whatever voucher on the MTN if you buy or you start a like a contract deal online or whatever it is. I'm gonna give you 20 minutes to do this. Okay, and then you're gonna come back. Is everyone good with that? Everyone good with that? Come with your best attempt. Everyone good? Simpiwe, good?
Chris,
Good.
I'm in the dark. I've got load shedding, so I don't know. Maybe I might use a torch. We'll see. But
Okay.
yeah, I've got load shedding.
Okay, but okay, let that be an inspiration. Like promote your phone that's currently saving you right now. Use a torch on the phone, dude.
All right, cool.
Okay, Sipo, you're fine. You're gonna manage. Got something there. Shalom, you're gonna be fine.
Yeah, I'm also in the dark. I'll try and just top it up on my phone or something.
Yeah, like I say, just give it an attempt, guys. Like I'm saying to you, give it an attempt. And Bash, you'll be fine.
How long did you say it must be? Like a minute?
30 seconds. No, 30 seconds. So
is long.
we're talking about 5 lines. Five lines, maybe about uh 4 sentences, depending on obviously how many like statements you're making. With a hard sell, which is again, like I say, MTN is breaking out with this winter with some warm specials. That kind of very corny line, you know, that's what a hard sell is. Just leave it at that, so that you can fill it up with like the facts of the contracts that are available. Get the new Samsung S23 on a whatever plan, you know. Like that's the ideal, that's the direction that you want to go to. And then, like I say, keep it simple. End with the, like I said, the MTN slogan. And that is where you are at. What's going on here? Just hold on a second. May I please get the YouTube channel or link? Yes, sure. Yes. Okay, cool. Guys, okay. So take it to, like I say, what do I, 25? So at quarter two, eh? Yeah, quarter two, we'll reconvene. I'm right here anyway, if there's any
Can you guys
questions.
hear me?
Yes. Up, there she goes. Okay. Okay.